Everybody,
What are the agendas?
They're over there by Ben.
I'll get it. On to now.
we'll stand for the pledge of allegiance, if you don't mind.
No.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Legislator Daley,
Here.
Nightingale,
Here.
Hans,
I'm here.
and Strong.
Eric.
Okay. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes of May 8th, 2025?
I'll move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any discussions? All right. We have several appointments for the Veterans Advisory Board. I don't want to name them all because I'll butcher at least two of their last names. But if everybody can take a look at that. Now, do I put a motion, Fred? Because I've not dealt with it before. Do I put a motion?
At the Legislature.
So I'm just acknowledging.
That's correct.
All right, we're gonna acknowledge the various members of the Veteran Advisory Board. And let's move on to the Board of Electric. Chantel or Keith have anything to say today or any report?
Is either one of them here?
The one over here. another one?
Chantel's on. Chantel's on.
Oh, yeah. Chantel. Got anything for the legislator today?
Hello.
No, nothing in addition other than the report I sent you guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, if you don't mind, I have a statement or a comment.
Okay.
Chantel, if you can still hear me and you can relay this to Keith also.
Okay,
Since you folks have gotten your pay raise, I think it prudent that both of you should be in attendance of the committee meetings with your report. And I also believe that you should be in attendance for the legislative meeting. That is part of your duties. And in the past, I know it's kind of hit and miss, but from this point forward, I believe it's something that should happen monthly. Thank you.
can I just say something?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm here today, obviously, and Keith is chairman of one of the watershed meetings, and that's what he had. He's planning on coming in as soon as that was over with. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay,
Heidi.
Heidi.
Chantel, I understand this process and what this means. Just want to preface my question with that. As we get into voting season, because we do have 2 primaries in the county this month, when you go through the kinds of changes that were processed in May, it indicates duplicate registrations. Often that confuses people thinking that, and especially has become a national issue that has impacted our
Integrity of voting.
integrity of voting. So I wondered if you could, at this point, just reinforce what duplicate registration actually means.
I'm sorry, I don't do that, Heidi. We have our 2 clerks do that. I can find out for you though, and give you guys, everybody send you an email tomorrow. Would that be acceptable?
That's acceptable. I just really wanted you to make a statement for the public. I mean, I understand the process of duplicate registrations, and it has nothing to do with people being registered in several places so that they could be voting twice in one place or another state, et cetera.
Yeah, and you're exactly correct with that.
So that was my point. I just wanted to get it out there from our county board of elections at this time as we enter the voting season.
Okay.
Hear this, and this has been an agenda item on a national level, this idea of duplicate registrations, people mix up and then they have blown this up nationally, and then it trickles down to the local. And I just thought this was a good time to make sure we have clarity as we go into voting.
Yes, I will make sure, Heidi, that I talk to Keith tomorrow about this, and we will prepare a statement, and I will fly it by you guys
Great,
beforehand.
thank you.
Okay,
I would really appreciate that. Thank you. I think it would help the public.
certainly.
Is there any more questions? Thank you, Chantel.
You're welcome.
All right, Sheila.
Don't have any updates at this moment. We're just working as usual.
Okay. What
I do
about,
have a resolution though,
I do it now?
if you want to.
Yeah, let's do it now.
So it's amending the Cayuga County spending policy. This is changing the equipment from 5,000 to 10,000. Through the policy itself.
And that would be GO2, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I get a motion?
Thank you.
Second,
I'll second.
any discussion?
Sure. When's the last time we enforced it for 5,000? Where we're amending anything. We wanna. I mean, we have a policy for 5,000. I don't believe we've enforced it. It's probably, I know we discussed it when I first got on the legislature, when Chapman was the chair. I mean, I just don't.
Oh. Yeah,
So I just became aware of this policy last week. You're right, this legislature, Mr. Vitale, it has not been enforced. This is something that we want to bring back, come ahead and ensure that it's being followed. If you look at our fiscal management, when I looked at the $5,000 figure, this policy was stated in 2010. When I did the inflationary adjustment for $2,010 to $2,025, the amount came out to $7,400. I spoke with both our purchasing director and our budget director, and we believe the $10,000 of that does not handcuff us and allow us to keep oversight as well. So that was where the dollar figure came from. It's partially based upon adjusted for inflationary dollars. And then we felt $10,000 would not handcuff us, however, allow us to have fiscal management at the same.
I guess, this did seem to be a policy that had been in the policy manual, not a lot of compliance on it. As we were looking at the possibility of some type of austerity spending, this policy surfaced. And if I'm not mistaken, the plan is to do a re-education to all the departments that this is a policy that's within the county, talk to the purchasing director. And from now through the end of the year, we would like to look at some adherence to this to see if we could get a second look at spending.
I would say not some adherence, but we will have adherence to it.
Okay.
Over the past few months, we have been reviewing policies. We restarted the department head meetings. We've been covering policies during department head meetings. We did that again this month. This is just another policy to review and hold department heads and departments accountable. They have not been held accountable to our policies. You're correct, policies have not been followed, and that needs to change.
yeah, who's gonna oversee that? Like, how will we know? Like how, yeah,
Between the finance department and the budget department and the purchasing department.
okay. Any other questions?
So Ben just brings up a good point. I agree. I was here when when it was already being practiced. We pass policies so that they're enforced, and when they're not enforced, I don't know what we're doing here. So people knew this existed. We talked about it years ago when I first got on the ledge. I'm curious as to what is the process now? I know at that time, we didn't have a purchasing director. So we had this kind of policy in place because we had no oversight. So what is happening? You know, what is, if someone needs something and it's $25,000, what's the threshold and what's being followed? Because it would be interesting to see how it's been just for the past 5 years or so. Again, it's a policy on the books. And having been the chair 3 times, I'm very aware there's lots of policies that aren't followed. But we have hired folks to be professionals and do the work, and their job is to follow the policies. It's very frustrating.
And it maybe, I don't know if Lynn would want to add anything into this. It was my understanding that most things come from that come to the legislature. All contracts have to be approved by the county legislature. A lot of purchases of vehicles have to come in the form of resolutions. But once things get put into individual departments' budgets, there is no real resolution that comes forward. There's a PO that comes forward that's approved through the system. I guess it would be O'Grady who would be looking at these purchase orders, and, you know, whether she knew that there was a 2010 policy based on her date of hire, I'm not sure, but that was the reason to loop her in. I mean, Lynn, is there any clarification on this, that if this policy gets approved tonight, there will be additional resolutions coming forward to give people a second look of what's being spent?
Yeah, I mean, resolutions will have to come forward. I mean, I can be honest and tell you, I was not aware that this policy was out there. I think that the county has been lacking in reviewing our policies annually. I think, you know, we have had holes in administration sometime because of turnover and, you know, professional administrator, not a professional. And I think that we probably have not been, you know, reviewing these, and we have a lot of new department heads who have also come on in all these years, and I'm sure nobody has formally sat down and gone over every policy with them. So we probably could do a much better job at that. So there will be a bunch of us who will have to, you know, try and make people adhere to it, but obviously it's the department heads also have to play a big part of this. It can't just be put on finance people, but yes, people, I mean, it's not just purchases. I mean, it does also say, I think, capital improvements that could fall under contracts. So I guess we're just going to have to be much more aware that, you know, repairs could fall into that area also. And that's why there is an provision in there for some emergency approval. You know, if something had to get fixed by buildings and grounds before they could bring a resolution, they could do that.
I look at this way: we either enforce the policies we have or we abolish them. Those are those, and I think this is a policy worth enforcing and worth modifying.
You know, if you don't mind, John, you know, maybe you and I can get together and kind of, you know, I'm not aware of all the policies. I was unaware of this one as well. So if there's any ones that jump out at anybody, send me an email and maybe we get together and.
We're actively reviewing policy right now, Brian.
Okay, good.
And then they'll prioritizing and presenting in the department head.
Perfect.
Chair. Mark. Thank you, sir. So to simplify this for myself and maybe for the listeners on the internet there, the way I understand it is that if we are going to purchase something in the county, be it whatever, or award a contract or whatever, if it's over the $10,000 mark, then it has to come in front of the legislature, regardless of what it is. Is that correct? Would I be assuming that's a simplified?
That's a simplified version.
I think there's an exclusion on there for grant equipment. I don't have it in front of me. If someone can read it.
I believe it's 100% funded.
100%. Yes, 100% grant. This is ours.
That would make sense. That makes sense. But
Also,
just for myself.
emergency
There's
authorization.
an emergency authorization clause in there, allows the paying of for.
Yep.
As well.
Thank you.
Any other additional questions?
Can I add something?
Yeah,
This is Grace. I just also want to state that, what we'll do with this policy going forward is, we do have our county auditor. And I too was not, honestly, I really wasn't aware of this policy and, I take onerous on that. But I'll make sure that our county auditor also has a copy of these policies because she's ultimately the final approver and will make sure that, a resolution is attached as backup or whatever is needed is attached, which she is doing now, but without being aware of this policy. I mean, this was definitely something that we were not looking at. But going forward, we will make sure that she has that policy as well.
okay. All right, we gotta finish the vote, right?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So it passes. Fred, any updates for us?
No updates. I'm still in the process of trying to hire somebody. It's been a long process. Nothing on the horizon at this point, but we'll keep trying.
Tom, you could do your resolution as well when you're ready.
Well, you have my report. Really, the only highlight I wanted to share was we did successfully kick off our IT shared service agreement this week with the city officially. We have our help desk up and running. We have tickets flowing into the system. We're actively addressing tickets with the city, whether that be Munis financial assistance or general IT help desk assistance. So that is up and running. You will see going forward in my report, I'm going to add the city of Auburn statistics in there as well. So you guys can get a quick review of what kind of work we're doing and just to kind of highlight that work as well on a monthly basis. But yeah, there's several different things there. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mark.
Tom, I know it's probably way too early to even ask the question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Do you have or foresee any kind of numbers that you're gonna have to spend working, doing the city work versus, I mean, I know it's only been a week, but.
Yep. We'll have to compile a little bit of data just so I can get some trends and
Sure.
better answer that question for you. But I mean, that's what we're using that help desk for. So it's going to give us some real data that I can actually share. But for right now, kind of how I've instructed my staff is, if you're working on a city issue, you're working on the city issue. If you're working on county issues, we're kind of separating services at this point in time until I've had more time to digest and get a real scope of, what kind of support. But that's kind of how we're handling it. It's been working out fine.
That's all we can ask at this point, right? Thank you.
Of course.
Now, will that analysis kind of lead you in a direction of what the actual contract going forward looks like year after year?
Absolutely. Yep. Not only from, a support standpoint, but also, how we're going to combine services and save some costs here. Yes.
Okay, Tom, unless you got anything else, if you want to walk right in your resolution in case people have questions, and I don't think they should, but.
Sure. This is a resolution authorizing the relocation of the data center to Auburn Fire Department.
Can I get a motion?
I'll move it.
Second
Second.
discussion.
Second for discussion, up? Anybody got any questions for Tom on this resolution? Do you, Heidi?
We don't have a stance yet about longevity, or do we at the city, at the city fire department?
In terms of an agreement, I think we settled Fred on, 3 years.
That's my understanding.
Yep. With an option to obviously renew after.
That annual rent is only $2,400.
Correct.
It's incredible. But we do have there's additional charges that were discovered of $93,000. Correct?
Well, so kind of what I did is I compiled a total of all the costs that's going to be associated with the project. It would come out to $343,000. I'm able to absorb $250,000 internally in my budget this year. And I had $3,000 left over, which I worked out with Lynn to find money. I did refer to the change in the order from the.
Correct.
And she's talking about the laptops. And the-
Right.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, it's a similar number.
It's a different, that's a separate, or a separate issue.
Okay.
Yeah, separate issue. Yep.
And just, you know, to kind of go over the conversations,
Yep.
it has been your recommendation forever to get that data center out of the county office building and move to a new location
Absolutely.
based on risks to that equipment, right?
That's exactly right.
And you've told us that when you move it, and your hope is not to move it and move it again in 3 years, that's for darn sure.
Yep.
But when you move it, you'll be able to replace fiber that's like purchased and owned since 1990 something.
That's right.
So there'll be the upgrade. I mean, I guess if we're going to trust your opinion, this needs to happen for ongoing connectivity for the county.
That's correct. So we're talking about all the critical systems to the county, public safety, finance, human resources, daily operations. Those are the key things that we have to cover. That's what all of this infrastructure is. So with that being said, the primary cost here, to Elaine's point, is fiber connectivity. So in like 1997, we established a project called Cayuga that provided underground fiber connectivity from the county office building to several sites downtown. That fiber is now 30 years old. It's actually a perfect time to look at that. Are we gonna, would we replace it? Will we purchase it? The cost to purchase brand new fiber and own it ourselves would be in the millions of dollars. Looking at other businesses, counties, they lease their fiber. So it's just like a rental. It's a monthly rental. We do that with some of our sites currently. That's my recommendation, right? Is we lease the fiber, we run everything back to Auburn Fire, and get connectivity restored back to those sites. The other piece to this is purchasing hardware, which we have aging storage and server hardware at the public safety building. We would decommission that. We would purchase new hardware for the public safety building and then move the hardware from the county office building to Auburn Fire. And so that would kind of be the overarching plan here to make sure that we're taking advantage of all of our existing resources, but the most cost effective, and I guess to roll this thing out and do it the right way.
If this passes, when will it happen?
So there's approximately a 6-month time frame. I'm unfortunately under the gun with the fiber company, so it takes time to get these connections finalized and things like that. I told them about our situation. They're going to help us expedite it. I just don't want to give you an unrealistic timeline, so I'll say 6 months, but we can probably get that sooner.
Okay. Any other additional questions? All right, let's vote on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You opposed? All right, pass.
Thank you.
What's on the list?
Kevin Swap.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Have I've seen you a lot on TV and
Yeah, I think.
You got a celebrity.
I think my 15 minutes of local fame is about over.
I don't know, you got a few minutes left. You guys.
So you have my report. We're keeping busy. Had some events this month. Probably the high point was the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War on the 31st of May. The weather was horrible that day, but the ceremony was actually good. Would have been wonderful if it hadn't rained. It'd been like 40 degrees or whatever it was. But we had a reception afterwards over at Potter's, and that kind of made up. We had our lunch with Vietnam veterans on Tuesday this week, and a lot of them said that the ceremony was great. The weather was horrible, but the reception was good to get everybody together and do that thing. So that really worked out well. Could have been better, but it was good. We'll probably do some more things like that in the future. The Vietnam veterans are the main focus we have, and as I do more research, I know I've identified at least around 200 living Vietnam who were in Southeast Asia veterans in the county still. We keep finding a few here and there, and that's my goal, is to find the ones that served in and around Vietnam. And then the bigger picture is also that era. Still quite a few of Vietnam era veterans as well. So just wanted to highlight that. We are starting the summer, some outreach events. We also did a golf scramble over in Aurora. It raised some money for our Veteran Support Fund. The rain held off for that one. We've got 4 Cayuga County veterans going to the fishing event up in Fairhaven in July. In the past, it was kind of hit or miss. They invited veterans from all over to come, but I've teamed with them to allow some of our local veterans to participate in that as well. So pending any questions or suggestions or any events that are coming up, I think I'm going to be going down to Moravia. I think they're going to have the fair this year.
Yep.
The fire department and VFW fair. And in September, there's going to be a free barbecue for veterans at the Weedsport Speedway as well. So those are kind of some bigger events that are coming up. Any questions? That's all I've got.
Kevin, I'd just like to congratulate you on that award. I was very happy to see that you got recognized. I think it was well deserved, and I appreciate all the work that you and your office do. You've made a big difference in the county, and that's obvious. Thank you.
Thank you. I was honored, and I will live up to that distinction. That's what my goal is.
I think that's for the whole body, the legislature, we all feel the same, so thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's it. I would like to get a motion to adjourn.
Don't move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What's planning starting?
Planning's gonna start right now because we have another meeting after it, and I want to get home before the rain. Okay. I'm being optimistic. Members in attendance, Legislator Winslow, Legislator Daley, Legislator McNabb Coleman, and Legislator Vitale. So minutes to approve May 8th, 2025.
I'm moving. Second.
The second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Before you, there's a list of appointments, the Cayuga County Workforce Development Board and the Cayuga County Planning Board. Plus that's the there are no presentations, and we'll get into reports, starting with planning.
Thank you. Good evening. Try to keep this short. Yes, you see we have one appointment, just to let you know, for County Planning Board. Village of Weeds Board of Trustees has selected that individual to represent them, represent the village on County Planning Board. Couple of quick highlights from my report for you. Very excited about the 9 projects that were awarded to DRI, to Cayuga, Union Springs, and Aurora. In addition, you'll see in my report that we were able to secure some Restore New York funds for 2 of those projects. So all total, $10,900,620 were secured for those 9 revitalization projects in Cayuga, Union Springs, and Aurora. Each village has 1 public project and 2 private projects. For environmental updates real quick, just letting you know, we are on track to get our FLOPA disbursement, some revenue in, $131,700. Those checks are in the mail, coming to us. Those go for countywide water quality work. And kudos to Michelle Wunderlich and the full multi-county team. The Skinny Atlas Lake watershed, which we have a portion of, their 9-element plan was approved recently by New York State, and Michelle sat on that committee, on the technical advisory committee, giving us advice based on the Alaska Lake watershed plan. 2 more things quickly. The countywide brownfield opportunities area grant. The RFP is being released imminently. Thank you to Amanda O'Grady for her work for that. Bids are due back July 9th. So we'll be trying to bring a resolution in August, hopefully, to award that contract to the consultant for that grant. And the strategic plan, we had our first committee meeting June 3rd. We had a great attendance. That was really exciting. We have 16 members on that committee, representatives for county legislature, county sheriff, Crawford Extension, Unity House in Cayuga County, county planning board, county parks and trails, the Auburn IDA, county office of tourism, county soil and water conservation district, the county water and sewer authority, county health department, employment training, Cayuga County Veteran Service Agency, the Auburn Cayuga NAACP, the Cayuga County Industrial Development Agency, and the Auburn Housing Authority. So it's got a nice mix on that group. We are also going to be releasing flyers, press releases, et cetera, in the next couple of weeks for our first public outreach. We have our first public meeting coming up in early July. Reminder that every time we have a public meeting for this project, we'll be holding it 3 times. We've secured the Ira Fire Hall, BOCES, and the Lock Fire Hall as the locations that we can have these meetings to make sure that we're reaching as many residents, businesses, constituents as possible so everyone can be heard.
Talking about the strategic plan, when you say those meetings? No.
That's the strategic
Yes,
plan
right,
meetings. Yeah,
yes.
those are the public outreach
Yes.
meetings for that project. So staff will be having the same meeting 3 different times. We're trying to hopefully have them in the same week if possible. Right now, we're looking at July 8th, 9th, and 10th. So those flyers will be going out to all of you and countywide.
Other people might know this, I'm not sure I do. What is the end result of the Brownfield grant? I mean,
Right, so the Brownfield grant is a pre-planning inventory analysis type grant. It's essentially countywide minus the city phase 1 studies, environmental studies of any suspected and known contaminated sites and buildings, vacant underutilized buildings that may have asbestos, lead, those types of things. The intended outcome is a priorities list for redevelopment, cleanup, revitalization that we can then use for phase 2 and get more state money to actually clean up those sites and redevelop those buildings and make them active again.
okay, so you'll put an inventory in a priority and you'll then have all this information that you currently don't have now.
Correct, correct. And the towns and villages on their own don't have enough collective acreage like the city does to qualify for the program, which is why we're taking a countywide approach. So yes, we'll have the full inventory. There is a task force committee being formed that will help prioritize with a lot of public input priority sites. And then when we're finished with that report, we'll be able to apply for cleanup money later.
And whether towns or villages want expansion or development or whatever, they do, I guess I'm asking, they would want those areas remediated. And anyone would want that.
I would hope so. Yeah. So it's a good tool for us. We know that it's not going to be every municipality, but we're trying to do a countywide approach to capture everything for cleanup.
Thanks.
And
No resolution.
I have no resolutions this month.
All right, hallelujah. All right, thank you. Kelly, climate and training.
Two highlights I'll share. One is that we did receive our federal allocation about, I don't know, maybe a week and a half ago. Been working with the Workforce Development Board. This is our federal money that is distributed through Portland County's Grant Administration Office. Did receive our allocation. The full federal money, we did go down about 2.5%, which if you look across the region and all of the local workforce development areas, some areas took a hit of 20%. Some did go up, larger areas, but really given the data that I have, 2.5% decrease for the area was actually a relief to me. And then now we're working with our Workforce Development Board diligently to I'm creating a budget, Portland's creating their budget. We'll present it to the Workforce Development Board on June 25th and see what happens, at that point, but working on that. So that's something that's probably the biggest activity happening right now. Second thing, at last night's HHS committee meeting, Christine Bianco did do a resolution to accept funds through our summer youth employment program. And the intention is to work with us as we have been utilizing that program. The difference this year is instead of the money funneling through the Workforce Development Board, and then they take care of administration and take some of the funds, we'll keep it in the county and zero cost administration to keep it larger stream in our program. So those are things, summer program will start soon. Youth employment will kind of taper off, and then it'll transition back to the youth program once our summer is over. So that's what's happening in employment and training, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for Kelly? No?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to highlight or discuss one thing that wasn't in my report. The weather this spring has been pretty challenging for a lot of our farmers. We've only gotten just about half of the corn crop planted at this point, and you start to hit some deadlines around crop insurance and some federal programs this time of year. So we don't know how much more corn's going to get planted. A lot of farms are starting to say, because there's also some market challenges in getting shorter season varieties, that they're going to stop planting corn and just go to soybeans. We're also going to be working with farmers on some alternative crops that you can plant in these shorter season situations. So that's one of the things we're going to be working on over the next several weeks. The other thing that's not in my report, which may result in a significant cut to our organization, is that funding for our SNAP Ed program, which funds all of our nutrition program, is zeroed out completely in the.
SNAP Ed, you said?
Yeah, yeah. So for funding for SNAP Ed is currently zeroed out for the entire nation in the reconciliation bill that the Senate is discussing right now. And we're not sure how that's going to go in terms of restoration, but that would be a significant cut to cooperative extension.
What is that funding level right now?
So for us, it's $67,000. I forget what the figure is statewide or.
And you employ people to do education, nutrition, counseling and all that?
Right, yeah, and.
Like not 3 people, 2 people, 1 person?
In our statistics right now get compiled regionally, and we're in a region that they call Northern Finger Lakes. We reached over, the region reached 6,800 people just from last October to the end of March. And it varies from group sizes of maybe 5 to going into a lot of our work's done in classrooms too, where we're reaching 30 kids at a time.
Any more questions for Dan?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
And I don't see Kyle. Measures? Doug?
Good evening, everyone. I do have a couple things I want to add to the notes that we had in the committee report. One, last week we had a significant water main failure over in the main part of the park. I point that out to say that without the equipment we bought last year, we wouldn't have been able to repair it ourselves. So with the excavator we purchased last year, we were able to go in with our staff and effect a repair that saved us quite a few $1,000s there. We've also done 2 projects at the Sterling Nature Center and elsewhere with that piece of equipment. So the investment we made last year with that has already been significant savings for us. We've been able to deploy that equipment. So I just wanted to say thank you for letting us move that budget funding last year into that as opposed to buying a new truck. The conference series starts in 2 weeks. So get your lawn chairs out. Make sure you come out and see that. The Nature Center just had their art inspiration. They had several hundred people come to that event. That building is getting very heavily utilized too. So it's good to see lots of folks in all the facilities that we have.
Any questions for?
I just have- You touched on the foes. I know that their Thursday night concerts have I don't know if they've all been sponsored, but had just one left remaining when we had Parks Commission. And that's amazing. Like,
Yes, I think there was, maybe that was, since then has been
fully, right. So that's amazing that you have people in the community who are sponsoring that.
Yeah.
And people are coming to our park, it's a county park, and they're coming up here, do this, have these evenings. So many people are benefiting from this, and I think it's amazing. I also want to come out on the FOS getting the best of the region categories. We're really, really, really fortunate to have these folks partnering with us. So they're a robust team of go-getters, and they're making the county look great.
What did they get? Best in the region?
Region
What? I don't know what that is.
for Parks and Recreation Facility. Emerson Park did.
And
Oh, the park got the
concerts.
Right.
Oh, gotcha.
Concerts.
Okay,
Right.
I was unclear.
Yeah.
right, the Friends of Emerson also got best of the region too for like a group.
Their support.
It's like all of their things that they promote seem to be so well done and well organized and attended. So they're great.
And when you talk about the sponsor, they pay for it or they find someone else to pay for the band or is that what you mean?
So they find sponsors for the band,
Uh-huh.
you know, so it's making our money go a lot longer. The money that we've invested in them to do these kind of productions, and it helps their organization
And their
keep putting on
for the playground and.
yeah, great things and for the playground, right? And I always said, somebody asked me recently, what am I most proud of? Great, because this is my district. And I said, I'm really proud of our relationship with the Friends of Emerson because they're doing the things that we can't. And we kind of get in our own way and we can't get going. And they're making it happen for us and they're making us look good. And they're putting on things that are benefiting our whole entire community. So it's awesome. That's strong.
Let's hope in 2 weeks we won't need our floaties.
Well, I mean. Never know.
You have 5 resolutions?
Yes.
Let's go down through.
Yep, PL one is authorizing the purchase of a Kubota RTV for the department. We had 2002 John Deere Gator retire itself on us recently. So we're proposing and got some quotes to replace that unit. All these go out on a daily basis throughout the season. We even deploy them up to Sterling events and things like that. So we just like to replace that from our inventory, and we do have funding, excuse me, in the budget to replace it.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for PL 1. Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carry. Thank you.
PL two is authorizing the execution, reaffirmation for the Land and Water Conservation Fund for the department. So we have sections of the Cato Fairhaven Trail and also within Emerson Park that utilized funding from the Land and Water Conservation Fund at different times throughout the park history. So we get audited every 5 years, it's every so many years. And they basically come in to make sure we're still using parks properties that were set aside as parks properties, still as parks property. So that comes along with an agreement. They will come here and audit within the next 4 weeks. And then based on that, we will receive a contract back from them to sign that says, yes, we are still doing this and we will continue to do this in the future. And it's something that will have to go through the county attorney's office.
Move it. Did you have a question?
You can move in second. I just don't really
I have a mover for PL 2 and a second.
Second.
Tom?
So this designation gets us something or just?
It got us the property to begin with.
Okay, so in order to keep this designation and this property,
Correct.
we have to be true to the,
Correct.
okay, all right.
Okay. Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry. Thank you. 3.
PL three is authorizing the replacement of emergency exit doors at the Emerson Park Pavilion.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carry.
You didn't have the money in your budget, that's why you had to do a transfer?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm all on one location, correct.
Okay.
Sorry. PL four is authorizing the installation of a window film at the Sterling Nature Center.
Some window film, 22,000, is that what?
It's this extensive area is really what it is, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of those.
And that will help save whatever's the inside. I'm assuming.
It helps on the inside and it also will reduce, they've had some bird strikes on the outside of the building, which we did think that was gonna happen. We didn't film the whole outside of the building because it would have been 3 or 4 times this. So basically what happened was we wanted to see what the impact around on the wildlife was. They've identified some areas where they've had some bird strikes. This can address that in the areas where they've actually seen it instead of the whole.
And this will protect Legislator Strong's artwork on the wall.
It will.
Filtering. I can't wait.
I'll entertain a motion.
I just have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How much do you have with capital H there?
It's from the capital H from the construction of the building. It's one of the things that we thought we would have to do. And then this money that's from the original building.
That's left over. That's still left in.
That we still have some trail work that is gonna happen, but there is funding in there that we could take from that to do this.
Is it
Still be able to pay those.
a decent amount of, and I just was curious, what's left in the capital?
About $133,000 is still in there, and there's about $100,000 in outstanding trail work that will get DEC permitting.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, there was no motion or second on it.
Oh, I'll make the motion.
Just second it.
Anybody second?
I'll give you one.
All right, Tom.
Thank you.
PL 5.
PL5 is to authorize the chair of the legislature to have us sign off on the SWIMS grant that we entered into contract. We applied for it last year.
Is it the first award?
Yes.
I've never seen the SWIMS grant
Right.
before, so you applied for it,
We
and now
applied
they
for it
gave you the
last
money?
year, and we were awarded and can be used for both last year's budget and this year's budget. Any raises or changes that we did in salaries for lifeguards over the last 2 years.
I'll move this.
Thank you.
Second.
Yeah.
Second.
And if you had to send them for training or do whatever, this would be eligible money to cover all of that.
Yeah, both training and any changes in salary.
Yep.
I have a motion and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
You might want to do the first resolution over. I'm not on a committee.
I don't think we got you, did we?
Oh, I think he did. He.
Yeah.
he made the motion.
Did you put him down?
Yes, I did.
We could
Now
pick
you-
somebody else if you want to just.
You have to yell at him. 'Cause I
Oh,
got it.
can't believe I didn't catch that.
I'm just hearing.
All right, can we redo PL 1?
I think you're
For
well
the sake of
under.
minutes? Entertain a motion for PL 1 again? You're not gonna do Hans?
Oh, I'll make a motion. You're an honest man, Hans.
Second.
And Tom seconded. Okay,
Thank you.
we good? Thank you.
Need a vote, just
Yeah, just vote, just.
Aye.
Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
If we're gonna do it,
Any
you might
opposed?
as well.
Thank you. Tourism, Karen.
Hello.
Stingy.
I do bring,
Not that one.
presents
The other.
today.
That one. Thank you.
So we have our latest edition of the scene that is starting distribution. This one focuses a lot on outdoor adventure, the outdoors market, agritourism, and I called out champions of responsible tourism, which was the focus of our annual meeting that we just had over at the Samuel Center in Fort Byron. It was a really good celebration. The awards for award winners were the self-watering plant pot. Okay. The self-watering plant pots that are made right here in Auburn, New York. So even the award itself continued sending the message of responsible, regenerative wins in the county.
Where do you distribute these?
These just came out. Actually,
Okay.
the binding is a pre-binding. We did a small print for the annual meeting. We will be getting the other ones later. Part of the distribution was what I was going to mention about the magazine. The magazine started as a project a couple of years ago when we started noticing flattening out in visitors staying overnight
in the region. We don't have enough lodging. Lodging is something we need to work on to bring to the region, both in Auburn and the southern and northern region. I was just at a tourism community days up in Fairhaven that we host around the region. And that's one thing they can mention as well. We need more overnight lodging in our area. People come and they do things in Fairhaven, but they go stay outside the area. So that's when we started this magazine 3 years ago to try to, I'm lacking in words, to try to encourage more economic development within the region so our visitors don't just leach out to Seneca Falls and Skinny Atlas, Ithaca and such. So this started as an inspirational. We have a travel guide that has the listings of all the things to see and do and stay, but this one was tended to be more inspirational, tell stories about our destination. The not unplanned, but the greatest benefit that we've gotten from this is civic pride from our own residents. We get phone calls regularly whenever we distribute another magazine saying, I had no idea there was so much to see and do. I'm so proud of our county. I'm so proud of everything. So because the second thing we wanted to try to do was get more friends and relatives in region. There's a lot of people that live in our county, but instead of going to visit your cousin over in Virginia, have your cousin come bring here. If you're part of an association, part of an organization, bring those associations here. So this, we've seen a lot of benefit besides just encouraging visitation with our residents and our pride. So the first issue was also outdoors focused. The second issue was about our museums, regional museums in the county. If you notice, there is a theme that we're following. And each edition from now on has the table of contents. Within the table of contents, you have your cover story, which is the one that we focus on, a couple of features. One of the features, and this one was the Erie Canal Bicentennial, of course. The other one was interpreting the landscapes, more of a cultural historical tourism. And then you have your north, central, south. As a long, skinny county, something that we've had been challenged educating the public is this is Cayuga County. Because we're so long and skinny. Even within our county, people that we talk down in Moravia is like, oh, I forget that Fairhaven's part of the county, right? So there's a section that talks about north, central, south. We have a map that we've been using for several years now that's getting more and more recognition. It's color coded. So the magazine gets color coded by the regions. This year, the north, central, south focus was on craft beverages. So we talked about cideries, wineries, distilleries in the north, the central, and the south. The upcoming one that we're starting to work on will be focusing on events. So we're highlighting events in north, central, south of the county. So it's an important piece, and we've got a lot of additional benefit from it that we unpredicted additional benefit. Before I highlight my report, did you have any questions on the magazine? It's
Very nice, very well done. I'd love to say, I was able to get an early copy because of my attendance at your tourism as workforce development. And I keep it on my coffee table as a coffee table piece. It's beautiful.
Yeah. One of the pride things that I love when I walk into like a dentist's office or a doctor's office and it's sitting there in the waiting room. We want to see more of that. So if you, the doctor's office, they don't have one, let us know and we'll happily give you a box. Because it is definitely a pride piece about the county for proud of that. Talking about that event, that's one of the things in my report, where Tourism Meets Community was an event that we hosted May 7th. You were all invited. We're hoping to do it again next year and we look forward to seeing you there. It was a banging success. I cannot begin to tell you how wonderful it was. The intent was to celebrate the county and everything we do. We had a panel. Carrie sat on the panel with us. We had Michael Miller from the Cayuga ADA. We had Dave Fuller from the Cayuga County Chamber and myself. And we talked about who the organizations are, what do we offer, how do we work with the residents and the businesses in the region. People were very engaged. We had residents, we had businesses, we had neighboring tourism partners in the neighboring counties because they said, you're doing what? You're doing how? Can I come learn? So we had Yates, Seneca, Madison, Portland, thank you, who came to attend the event to see what we were doing and replicate. So this is definitely a trend changing. And then we had Thousand Islands, Corey Fram, who was the previous president of the New York State Tourism Industry Alliance, give a state of of tourism in the state. So we gave a very broad view of the state, and we covered a lot of really important topics at that level. And then we had a representative from Destinations International who came to the event. So he came from Buffalo over to see what's Cayuga doing? But these are definitely transitional, important conversations that were had. We also had, as I mentioned, our community days up at Fairhaven. Those conversations are important for us and for the destination itself, for us to understand how does the community see itself? How does the community want to be promoted? What words does the community want us to use about the destination when we talk about them? It went fantastic, and there's several things that we've gotten from that. We also just had our frontline familiarization tour. We do these twice a year. You're also invited to join us anytime you want. We went up to Fairhaven. We visited the Sterling Nature Center. They went for a nice hike, walked down to the lake. We went to Turtle Cove for lunch. We did a boat experience on Little Sodas Bay, which was fantastic. And then they had some free time to roam around downtown Fairhaven to get to see the small shops in the area. Everybody loved it, and we'll look forward to hosting the next one in the fall. We'll be here in Auburn to get an update on the downtown revitalization projects. So stay tuned for the date on that. So you can
Karen, who's the they that did all this? Who are the they that did all this?
Our office.
Took residents and
Yep,
people.
we took a bus from left the Equal Rights Heritage Center at 9 o'clock in the morning, straight up to Sterling. And then we had the whole day experience and brought them back. It is free. It is intended for the frontline employees. So we went to restaurants, we went to museums, we went to hotels, we gave them the little pamphlet saying, join us. It's part of our educational commitment to our frontline. So when there's visitors from New York City who are hanging out at the restaurant and the bartender overhears them talking about, what do you want to do tomorrow? We did this and this today. The bartender can say, hey, I was just up in Fairhaven. It is really cool. You can go do this. You can eat here. So it's to educate the frontline employees to talk to the visitors about what there is to see and do.
Gotcha.
We've been over to Aurora in previous years. We've hit Moravia a couple times. We've looped the Wasco Lake before as well. So every time we move it around to different areas and tell different stories. The bay is me.
Okay.
And talking about me, the next thing I wanted to highlight in the report is the search for the new leadership from the organization has started. The listing is up on LinkedIn. It is also up on Indeed. I know that they have received several applications. I am a degree separated from the entire process. There is a search committee involved, which is a combination of the executive and human resource for development committee that's working on the search. Anything else I wanted to highlight? I attended and represented Cayuga County up in Ottawa for the City Nation Place conference. It was extremely well received. It put us in a level of recognition that was very notable. And I will summarize it with the fact that I got a phone call from Switzerland this morning. So, Cayuga County making waves in Europe, that's all I gotta say. Accessible tourism, we've been working with Wheel the World, an organization that goes to locations to get a real life review of how accessible they are. This is not an ADA initiative, has nothing to do with ADA, it is not reported to ADA. It provides a location, for example, for the City North is participating on how accessible are you? How wide is your doorway? How high are your switches? What kind of doorknobs do you have? And this is all documented so the individual themselves can decide if this location is accessible to me. And then they get a report on, ways that they can improve. So they're here next week and the week after. We have 27 locations around the county that we nominated for this process. So that'll be an excellent report that we can use to promote the region as more accessible to mobility challenged individuals. And that includes parents with strollers and elders with walkers. That's me in a nutshell. Any questions?
Any questions for Karen? No, thank you.
And it wasn't a remarkable conference.
Thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move it.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Chairman, room is yours. Nothing.
Sorry, apologize.
I'll call him.
Might better take
Ben Vitale,
Present.
Tom Wenzel,
Present.
Bob Shay,
Present.
Eileen McNabb Coleman,
Present.
Hans Petra,
Here.
Mark Strong,
here.
Heidi Nightingale,
Present.
Lynn Daly,
Here.
Brian Muldrow,
Here.
Jonathan Allen.
Present, please stand for the. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. We have 4 resolutions this evening. I'd like to start with Ledge 1. To appoint a superintendent of buildings and grounds. As you're aware, we've had a vacancy since February 28th of 2025 due to the resignation of a superintendent of buildings and grounds. We've put together a committee and made a selection. Can I get a motion and a second to place this on the table?
I'll move.
Second. A motion second. Any discussion on Ledge 1? If there's no discussion on Ledge 1, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Ledge 2 is approving the seeker. Well, in regards to our broadband project. Can I get a motion and a second?
And yeah, move it.
I'll second.
Okay. As you're aware, the seeker is the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and implementation of Regulation 6. Therefore, it be resolved on June 12, 25 by the County Legislators of Cayuga as follows. The county hereby determines that the project consists of a type 2 action pursuant to part 6617.5 C7, the regulations and such is not subject to review under seeker. The resolution will take effect immediately. Any comments on Ledge 2?
I just, for clarification, we have to do this primarily to publicly establish what type this is.
Yes, when the county's gonna take an action, for instance, in this case, it's gonna be bonding, it's gonna be approving contracts. It's a project that is subject to seeker because remember, they're gonna run the lines along the poles. That is subject to a seeker review. Since it's lines along the pole, that means it's a type 2 action. That's the first step to move forward in this project. It doesn't mean the county has to do the project. It's just the preliminary step.
And this is the environmental impact of the action we're taking. That's what the seeker is trying to measure.
That's correct, yes.
Can I ask a question? And there's no underground, council?
Based on the engineering and the documents I've seen, everything's above ground and it's being strung on poles.
Thank you.
So yes. Nothing underground.
Any other questions? No further comment. All in favor of Ledge 2?
Aye.
Any opposed? So go. We don't know. All right, 1 no from Mr. Thatcher. Thank you, sir. Hope that's our 1 no for the night. Forgive me, my glasses broke about 2 hours ago, so I can't really see.
At least you found them.
Well, no, these are cheaters I bought 3 days.
Oh, okay.
Ledge 3, amend resolution 203-25, which is the purchase and installation of Motorola software on 2 laptops, part of Cayuga County's 911 Backup Center emergency plan. Can you get a first and a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Ledge 3, as you're aware, we passed a resolution last month for $101,761.30. The actual invoice was supposed to be $192,000. There's a $90,000 gap. I sent an email out explaining the gap and what occurred. This was an oversight and mistake by the department head. It was appeared to have misread the quote. Any further discussion? Okay, without any further discussion, all in favor of ledge 3?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ledge 3 is moved. That brings us to ledge 4, appointing Amy Sargent as legislator for District 10. Whereas a vacancy exists in the office of the county legislature for District 10 due to a resignation of Scott Govt on April of 2025. Whereas local law 1 for the year 1975 provides in part a vacancy in the office of county legislator shall be filled by a qualified voter who is a resident of the legislative district in which the vacancy exists, chosen by a majority of the Cayuga County Legislature. Said person so appointed shall be enrolled in the same political party as the county legislator that he succeeds. Whereas a special election to fill the vacancy of legislator in District 10 will be held in November of 2025. Whereas the Cayuga County Legislature has determined to fill the vacancy of legislature District 10 through the end of December 2025 by the process of appointment. And whereas the Democratic Party recommends that the county legislature appoint Amy Sargent to fill the vacancy of legislature District 10 in compliance with local law number 1 for the year 1975. And now therefore be it resolved that the Cayuga County Legislature hereby appoints Amy Sargent to fill the vacancy of legislator District 10, which appointment shall terminate on the 31st of December 2025, subject to the laws of regulations of Cayuga County. Can I get a motion and a second?
Nightingale, second.
All right. I'm just gonna say this real quick. The resolution refers to local law. It's my understanding, and I wasn't here, and I did get the vote count, that the last time this happened was there was a vacancy. The Democrat had the majority. Mr. Strong was the nominee. Mr. Strong received unanimous support. It's also been suggested that we don't fill this spot, which I think the spot, District 10 deserves to be represented. They are paying taxes. It has basically taxation without representation, and they have a right to be represented by this board. And if it was a Republican left, this board would fill the spot with a Republican. And if it was a conservative, Mr. Petra resigned, we would take the recommendation of the Conservative Party as well. In this case, we took the recommendation of the Democrat Party because it was a Democrat who resigned, and this board should, in good faith, appoint Ms. Sargent unanimously to this board. And that's my opinion. Sometimes the right thing to do isn't always the political advantageous thing to do. And with that, any other discussion?
I concur.
Without any further discussion, all in favor of ledge 4?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate that vote. All right. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Any that said, you can be sworn in.
Who's leaving?
Oh, I guess they come third. Come first.
Right there is perfect.
Anywhere here?
Podium.
The camera's actually this way.
Yeah.
The podium. So
Up there.
you can do it right over here.
Take your
Yeah,
camera.
right over here.
Podium.
I'm on from
Just go over your head before we go.
You guys can join her.
Yes.
He was a little stocky little boy.
You know Stocky now.
Oh. Geez, what do you do? Quite fast.
Left hand. Right hand.
That's a 200-year-old Bible.
Hand up. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Do you want your brother to hold it? I can do it. There you go. There you go. Okay.
Right hand?
Right hand.
Right hand.
Or affirm.
Right hand.
Yeah, there you go. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of New York. And the Constitution of the State of New York. And that I will faithfully execute and discharge. And I will faithfully execute and discharge. The duties of the office of Cayuga County Legislator, District 10. The office of Cayuga County Legislator, District 10. According to the best of my ability. According to the best of my ability.
Wow.
Suicide on that right?
Dying. What? Procedures? Okay,
So.
all right.
Congrats.
After this.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You want to do a picture? Yeah. Let's do it right now.
Wow, you got me today like this.
Let's adjourn. Can I get a first and a second?
Next time, we'll do full edge.
Take a motion.
Second. All right.
All in favor?
All right.
We are adjourned. Thank you.